Welcome everyone to Spatialand. So this is going to be
Hey!
a weekly review series where Catherine and I kind of talk about the things that we've seen that we think are worth talking about, share that with you, and then talk about what we're looking forward to in the following week or two. So this is the time, right, Catherine, when there's a ton of events coming into VR.
Yeah. You want to go to the next slide?
Yeah, I'll go to the next slide.
So basically, the concept of this is that we're going to be covering some of the best, events, concerts, performances, and shows, and to invite you along with us. So not only are we going to talk about them here, but we're going to invite you guys to come with us and meet us there during the week. And whether it's a specific platform, an event, a room, or a live event, we'd like you to kind of like come hang out with us. So it's an actual living body, and it's the living, breathing extension of. We have this group called the XR Creatives online, so we're going to post everything there. We'll give you the link later. And what's kind of overrated, overhyped, and really underdone. So I'm super excited about this. We want to tell us about some of the platforms that we're going to be reviewing over the few weeks.
Yeah, let me move to the next slide. So, we're again. We're talking about the main platforms you guys all know, probably. I mean, who here has been to Rec Room? Who's been off of Altspace? Yeah, I mean, most people. So because these are the free ones, these are the ones we're going to be going to, and we'll be looking at a lot of the events that people are starting to do in there. So, I mean, but we have some that are a little different than that. And I want to bring attention to Museum of Other Realities because Catherine and I are both, and some of you are probably part of a group called XR Crowd that's quite artistically oriented and art event oriented. And there's a lot of stuff going on in this platform with ConXR and RAM and other things. And then VR Room. Has anyone heard of VR Room? This is a platform where it's actually inside a VR chat. So it's special. It's different. It's more of a content platform than it is a VR platform per se. And Venice VR is going to be in there. And I'm really excited to talk about
content providers. So that's what I really like about it. VR Room.
Are you guys playing that stuff?
All right,
because I don't see anything up there. Just saying.
Oh, thank you.
Same. Same.
He doesn't see it.
Let me see.
Okay, thanks guys, because we didn't know. Thank you.
Well, I mean, we can't know, so we're working with what we can see.
Oh, beautiful!
So,
there it is. You might want to blow it up like 16 times the size too.
Yeah, we haven't been able to.
We can. We'll do that next
week. So we want to go back. We'll go back one.
Well, I mean, I think people here have seen those other platforms, so we can go ahead and move on because we want to get to the events that we're going to talk about.
All right. So basically, we're here in Altspace. So one of the things we figured there's no point in introducing Altspace today. We're just going to set up what we're going to be talking about, the different platforms, who lives on those platforms, what's it like on those platforms, and some of the interesting characteristics, features, and content that lives there. Today, we're going to focus sort of on the different platforms themselves for those of you who aren't familiar with the different platforms. And also talk about some of the recent changes in the news. So, for example, this week I'm looking out there and I'm really digging a lot of those outfits. You guys look great. I'm thinking, how is this so inspired? Like, I never saw that T-shirt. The green accent. Like, how did you do that? But so I gotta get some tips on how you customize it. But avatars are a really big deal, right? Like, wherever you are, everyone gets really obsessed about avatars. Haven't you found that, Michael? When you're going on space, it can really piss you off if you get there. Like, I was in Engage, and they gave me this enormous, I don't know, it was she's a pilot.
It was a bit Amazonian.
Man,
I think we can say that.
10 feet tall, and I was supposed to be a woman, and I was supposed to dress in a gray pilot outfit, and I was all salty the whole time. Like, why do I look like this? I felt huge. Anyway, so it pisses people off when they can't embody themselves. Some people are like, my facial hair is my thing. So it's interesting to see how people get really caught up, but they're super challenging, I think.
Yeah, well, how do you think about so for everybody, obviously we're still getting used to the Altspace avatars. It's been about 2 weeks now, week and a half. I mean, Catherine, what do you think? I myself, I got to say I like it. I mean, I like the idea before Altspace being kind of like a neutral. Everyone was quite standardized, but I got to
I
say,
liked
like,
it initially. Yeah. And then I
I
went
mean,
to the rec room and I saw how cool the kids were, and I was like, damn, I need to up my game, right? Like, they give me an automatic avatar. I didn't even look in the mirror. I turned up, and then I realized I was in, like, Japanese anime type of schoolgirl. It wasn't a cute outfit. I was like, you know, redhead and a red thing, and I was like, no, this isn't it. And I
that's because
realized, like, how
they
important
have
it
lots
is.
of, they got lots of options in VR chat. You didn't find the right anime girl for you.
But
But
this was,
I
I
mean,
think it was
talking
Rec
about
Room. It was Rec Room. I
on
saw
Rec
all
Room,
these
you were
cool
at,
kids in there, and I was like, damn, I gotta up my game. You know, I gotta be like Lance over there. So I realized that this wasn't so cool to be like a neutral platform. Like, I loved the neutral platform initially because then you didn't have to worry. You know, like every time I go into the Zoom chat, I gotta get all hair and makeup on, you know? And I like the
so all
fact
right,
that I can just
but
jump in here and not do that. But actually now I'm getting all self-conscious, which is why I think Rec Room, they start with like avatars. You know, they've just reshuffled the closet so people can have access to their copious wardrobes.
But Catherine, I mean, so we're
Yeah.
going to talk about avatars for a little bit because we got other things to talk about, but we're going to hit this first. Catherine, do you feel this is you? When you look at yourself in your Altspace mirror, you say, yeah,
No.
that's me, or that's who I want to be?
All right, so this is the thing. Like, I have like I have like 3, I kid you not, storage spaces full of clothes that I collected all around the world. So I'm not able to reproduce that because I got to spend a lot of time mixing them. Actually, when I come on here, I really want to go and explore the content. So I want to be representative enough that I'm interesting enough. But really, when I go out, I'm here for like content. So I kind of want to have like, I don't want to think about it too much, but for other people, that's part of the experience. Like, Rec Room starts literally in your house where you can get dressed before entering all the different worlds. So I think it's a different mindset. And like, if I go to some gym in like VR chat, I want to make sure my gear is hooked up. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, I got to say, what I'm motivated, like I was telling Catherine this before, like this is the first platform where this is what I wear. Like, if you know me, if you were to see me in Istanbul, where I live, I'm wearing very frequently, half the year, a green shirt, a red jacket, and some blue pants. If you can't see because I'm sitting down.
RGB.
Yeah, because I'm all about just fundamental colors,
And comfort.
and yeah, and comfort, of course. I mean, but I really like Rec Rooms. You know, I like those avatars, but I got to say, this is the first time I felt like this is what I would choose to wear. This is that combo that I really like. And so like I said, I got to say, I was not a huge fan. I like the idea of Altspace avatars, but I think they've made a really good choice. I'm curious, any emoticons to suggest, are you guys pretty happy with the Altspace avatar change, or do you wish it was before? We got a few people who are pretty happy with it.
Would you
I'm
like
curious
more
to see-
stuff is the question. But more, like, was there a boutique? I mean, is there a business plan there for more for places for people to go and actually buy stuff, you think? Yeah, I think so too. And I still want to know how you got the t-shirt because I didn't see that on the auction. But I
Yeah,
need to get a shop in
I
the
hope
boys' room.
they, I think Rec Room has done a great job
I hope they let you.
just really expanding that library of wearables, the accessories that you can wear over there. I'm really hoping Altspace kind of goes that route where you have a little bit more of the of user created wearables, because I
They
think
actually
they're
have a
really onto
platform.
something.
They have a platform in Milan. There's a group of people, it's a startup, that they're actually helping all the major houses copy some of their stuff. And I totally see this as a place going forward. Maybe we should invite them on here one day. Anyway, let's
Well,
move
I
on
guess
to the content, guys.
Yeah, because we're
Sorry?
leading into an event we're going to talk about coming up next
Yeah.
week. Actually, it's all about fashion.
Yeah. So we wanted now to talk about some of the different content and some of the different spaces. So here, for those of you, I was in quarantine without my Quest, and I lost a lot of chapters on this. So part of this journey was like me deciding I want to go and visit all these things. Michael has been on all these platforms for like a number of years now. Lance is another veteran we're going to have join us in a couple of weeks to spend time with us to talk about some of these different events. But we wanted to talk about like who lives in these spaces. For those of you who don't know, let's set the stage right now. In Rec Room, I put how to adult in Rec Room because there is a group on Facebook called like Adults in Rec Room, because one of the first things you notice is you get like there are all these little kids running around and they're so damn cute, and I love it. But also I'm saying like, is this my space? But curiously, a lot of people seem to find that it is a great space.
I think you're being extra diplomatic. You're saying I love it when that's probably not the most accurate way you could express your thoughts on the subject. I mean,
I
people
do.
get
I
annoyed
love it.
by
It's
that.
fun. It's cute.
Yeah.
Like there's energy. They're crazy little ones going around and going, hey, whatever. And I don't know if they're in drugs or if they're just like 10-year-olds going nuts. But they're funny, at least, you know. It's better than some of the other conversations. But like I don't really know what to do there myself. I haven't really figured out what the jam is.
You play games. Who plays in Rec Room? Who goes into Rec Room every now and then and just play games? I mean, that's the place for it.
I shoot hoops or something. I mean, there's this golden thing. There's this golden thing.
You gotta play. You gotta do your frisbee golf, but then you gotta go into the really trippy, the really, really just mind-bending, nauseating PvP worlds. I mean, they're doing more. They're doing like narrative stuff in there. Like Rec Room is really blowing up as being the most accessible creative space. I think Neos is currently probably the highest, like the highest quality creative space right now. But because it doesn't support the Quest, you got to go into Rec Room if you're doing this type of stuff. And I think Rec Room is really like this broad, just wide community, whereas Neos is a little bit more focused and stuff. But I mean, like, and I got to say, like, I go into Rec Room and I just play paintball because I'm pretty good at it and it's easy to just jump into.
Neos? First of all, what's Neos? Talk about the difference between Neos and Rec Room.
Oh, Neo. I mean, we want to talk about Neos. Neos is it's the spiritual successor to Anyland. Anyone here know Anyland? Any VR people from back in the day? Yeah.
I
mean, they're still kicking around. What's that?
I didn't know about Neos.
I mean, Anyland, well, Neos is because you can't do it with Quest. Neos is just heavy. Even Anyland you can't do with Quest.
What's on a Quest? All right, I'm the only asshole with
Quest users.
Okay.
Quest users. Okay. I have to suffer so much to make Quest users happy. I'm glad you're all here.
I know. I got to order a tether to like see half the stuff in Sensor and MOR, whatever. So that's why I can't see it. But let's talk about this. Like, how many wants to play game? Like, I'm not a game player because half the time it's all this. My mic is glitchy. Rejoin room. Oh, thanks, Mike.
You dropped your mic. You can grab that other one.
Oh.
We have mic for days.
I have to rejoin the room apparently.
Why? Ah, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, come on right back.
For me to go? All right, bye.
Come on right back. All right, so Catherine's got to take a quick break and is going to be right back.
If I can, I have a dodgy right controller.
A dodgy right controller? That sounds like something a doctor should be checking. So let's talk about.
Do we have a doctor in the house?
Oh wow! Why am I over here? All right. So now we're moving into VR chat. Any VR chat users here? I'm always curious. Altspace users are really broad, and I always wonder, do we have a lot of the Altspace users? Are they using some of these other platforms? If you had to choose between Altspace, Rec Room, and VR chat, I'm curious to know which one would be the winner. Who would choose Rec Room?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, we got one lonely Rec Room proponent. What about VR chat? Who would choose VR chat over Altspace?
VR chat. I just thought
we got some on the fences. So you guys are a pretty proud group of Altspace users. That's good.
Wait, can you hold it for a minute? Does anyone hear me now? Because I redid the thing. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
I can hear you. A little bit fuzzy.
Yeah.
A little bit glitchy.
It's glitchy? Okay, sorry. All right.
It's like that game that...
It sounds okay now, I think, Catherine. Oh, okay. She's coming back.
There she goes.
All right, guys. So, yeah. I'm actually curious to know what Catherine's thought about it. So I've been in VR chat off and on for a little while. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's kind of grown on me. You have a couple good experiences. You go find a couple cool places, and it changes your mind about a platform. But Catherine is a bit new to it, actually. So we recently went to the ancient... How was it? The Ancient Museum? The Museum of Ancient Art, I think is what it was, which is done, I think, by a creator named Adi. And I was quite impressed with it. And I'm curious, actually, Catherine, Are you
Yeah.
back with us now? Yeah. So we're talking
Sort of,
about.
yeah.
I jumped into the Museum of Ancient Art in VR chat that we went to last week.
Oh, that was
What do
fun.
What are your thoughts
I
about it?
can't see it, but
broadly?
okay, I'll agree with you.
Do you see it or no?
No, I think that like you see it from the time you jump in. I think a friend in the
yes,
back also
probably.
says he can't see it.
All right. Hopefully it's visible
what
now.
the heck is that? I can't read it. It's
This
too
is
blurry.
Anime Nation. And I mentioned Anime Nation. Are we still in that one?
Yeah.
Hold up.
Because it's anime. There's a lot of like anime on there. So that's why I mentioned it. Because I think
It's
it's
a
like a
pun
lot
that
of
requires
anime.
explanation. Well,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
know,
Tell
so
us about
blurry.
what you thought. So you were in VR chat. You've been in VR chat a couple weeks. You know, you've been doing the other ones before that. But what did you think about your experience in VR chat?
I like VR
Did you-
chat. It was kind of trippy. I mean, first of all, everyone like super cool. It was like suddenly like high school all over again. You got to be, cooler than everyone else. I liked it because I felt that it was just like very experimental, and I felt like
Yeah.
it was very interesting in terms of like the different kinds of characters were there, and the spaces were interesting. I still couldn't figure out what to do, but compared to Rec Room, I'm not a gamer, and I don't really like shooting things up, and I get bored after shooting hoops for a while. I think it's fun to do like the startup thing in Quest. They have this thing, but my hair's disappeared. Anyway, so that's probably my jam, and so I like anything kind of either
yeah.
trippy, surreal, or crazy.
But what about the people you met? Let's go into more detail because you say they're interesting, and I want to delve into a little bit more about that because I took you to a place where I was hoping we would find some live performance, some open mic event, and I guess there was. Like I got dropped out, but you actually they started singing before you left, right?
Wait, which open mic? No, they actually didn't start yet.
Okay, all right.
But it was a
I've
lot
got
of
a
like
question. I've
conversation.
got a question about VR actually. VR chat, if that's cool. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, like you were talking about VR room. I feel like the biggest problem with VR chat is there's no real event like categories. There's no regular events. There might be one or two. They happen like once a month. It's not much of a community. It seems like most of VR chat is in a private world somewhere. It's like invite only, very clicky. You can walk into the room, but it's just a bunch of crazy kids running around getting drunk or something, or like you said, like this sort of like high school vibe where everybody's in the mirror, just like shooting the shit. But you rarely can have a decent conversation, right? Like it's like 1 out of 20.
That's so true.
Whereas in Altspace,
or you
like,
host your own event, and that's the thing. If you host your own event, then it is private.
But where do you find it, right? Like in Altspace, there's an event page, and there's like live events. Everybody who's hosting an event is up there. In the World 7 VR chat, it's just worlds. Most of them are empty. Some of them are full, but there's no theme that you can go with. There's no, you know what I mean? So if I could find a website
it's defined by social networks. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like some of these other ones. Like, and Big Screen is another. I guess people are starting to try and do events in there, but you do have to.
Well, we'll get to that. Not so well, but anyway.
Yeah,
but let's stick with VR chat.
Disseminate that information through other channels, which means you have to have some.
But that's the problem,
kind of
right? You can't just walk in and just find a place. You have to like go to other social media. Like you got to go to Facebook.
But I guess that's like a concert.
VR chat thing. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, if you know of any, I mean, I'd love to hear about it. VR Room is one that you talked about earlier. It sounds interesting. Or this other Rec Room thing. Oh, he's gone.
Yeah. What we're going to do, he'll pop back, I'm sure. What we're going to do is we're going to give a link to a meetup page that we have, and we're going to list all of the events that we'll be going to, stuff that's coming up. You can also share in the discussion space anything that you think is dope and you want to follow, or you want to invite us to. You can also contact us on LinkedIn or Twitter. So we'll give you links to that at the end. So we're going to have a set number of things that we're going to review and check out, but I'm also going to randomly go to the meditation space, or what's the other really big things? Improv is really big in Altspace, for example. We want to check out everything that's happening in the spatial sphere here on other spaces, just to kind of really explore where the edges are being explored. So it's like social instead of edge computing, like the edges of the spatial sphere in the social realm. And I think we would love to hear from you about what's happening and what you're looking at. So anyway, so the next thing we were going to talk about was we had Rec Room. We talked about VR chat. What was the next one? I think it was going to be VR Room. They had a couple of events. And so I want to talk about VR Room. That's the only platform, and it's not even a platform. It's actually housed within another space. Oh, here it is. It's back up. Can everyone see it? Raise your hands.
Yeah,
hold it on.
I think if you point at it and grip it and then use your joystick and put it to the right, it would expand it, would it not?
I don't think so.
Grip it and then use your joystick to the right. No?
I know. Yeah, it doesn't do that.
If anybody wants to moderate next time, you're welcome. I have no idea. And
I mean, next time we'll use a presentation scene rather than the talk show scene.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean,
Anyway.
so let's talk about VR Room, I guess, since it's kind of we've come to that point of the conversation.
Can we go to the next one? The next slide?
The next one's not. That's not VR Room. Let's.
I don't know. But VR Room was, I thought we mentioned that
I guess
because
it is.
they've done a couple of things. They did the Jean-Michel Jarre concert. I don't know if anybody saw that. It was a lot like the Lost Horizons, and so it was interesting in that you could join. Where was it? Because VR Room doesn't have its own space.
How do you get
It's hosted on something.
It's in VR Chat. VR Room is in VR Chat. It's a content
Okay.
platform within VR Chat.
Okay.
So you go to the VR
So
Room.
speaking of VR Chat, VR Room is actually on VR Chat, and they have specific events. They are linked up with a number of really well-known film festivals. So, for example, the Venice Film Festival is going virtual this year, and they're going to be linking up with VR Room. So that's a space where I really think that they're going to take off. The Jean-Michel Jarre was a lot like the Tomorrowland concert, which was, I think, a total disappointment. Did anybody see it on big screen? Is anybody going to join on big screen?
It's
Okay,
going
because some
right
people were
now.
talking about it like, oh, it's the future of VR. And it was 2D in big screen. And big screen is cool. I mean, who likes big screen? Anybody watched it?
Like they're trying to charge you for movies that are already out, that you can already watch on Netflix in way higher resolution, just so you can watch it with your friends. Like, I don't want to talk through a movie. Like, I only talk through a movie when I have to, because there's like more than 3 people in the room, and it's just better to talk. But I don't go to
Yeah.
movies to talk through them. Like, it's stupid. And then I have to pay, then each person has to pay. Like, you can't even like buy movies so your friends can watch it at your
Yeah.
place. It's absolutely retarded, and it's just marketing bullshit. Like, it's like, oh, it's next thing in VR. Like, everybody's gonna do this. No, that's just where they're telling all their investors. Like, nobody
have to
really
say
cares
that.
about that.
They
Yeah.
have to say, because I've been to the drive-in movies. Has anybody been to any of the drive-in movies? Like on Friday nights, you just turn up? Okay, I turned up there, and it seemed kind of cool. It was like these retro movies, and I kind of dig that, like retro sci-fi. And then I get there, and I'm standing on a car, and suddenly like 3 guys surround me, and I was like, oh my God, am I in high school? Like, I was a little bit scared because I was thinking, are they in high school? Literally. I was like, I didn't want to be that person on the internet. But I was checking out the film, and everybody was there to socialize. They were like going at the opposite end of the screen. Nobody was actually checking out the film. So there were a couple of people in their cars doing just that. The whole 2D thing, Michael, for me is super weird in VR. I don't get that. I mean, I know some devs who put it in the background while they're coding, and they type and they watch at the same time, which I think is like a really amazing skill. But Michael, what's up with that?
It's the easiest thing. It's just the defend myself. I mean, for some people when they go into VR, they gotta have something that's familiar. Like it's got to be some type of office setting. It's got to be some type of, production studio, and you got to look at a 2D screen. And it's just because that's the only way you get people to believe that it's valuable, it's effective. So I mean, we're at that stage of VR. We're getting people into VR, but the people we're getting into VR, you're still having to convince them before they get into it that what they're going to see is valuable because it's like things that they value outside. So I completely agree. I'm not a big screen user, and I don't foresee being one. I like the idea, to be honest. I really do like the idea that if I was going to watch TV with friends, like it'd be really cool. I just don't watch TV with friends. We got a hand raise here up in front.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, sure. Well, what I did this other week was I watched. We watched football in England here, London. So basically,
Yeah, see, that
my
makes
cousin lives
sense.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I invited him. He's got a Quest. I got a Quest. Rather than traveling in the pandemic, we decided, well, let's watch the football match in VR. We used the big screen VR for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think under the right, I agree with the other guy that a film that I'm taking seriously, that's probably not the social environment. Because when I watch a film with my wife, I would prefer her not to ask me questions about the film while we're watching it. But if it's, I mean, if it's something that's like using, a minimal portion of my cognitive resources, I would be I would probably be much more open to doing that in a social context. So that's a good point. Thank you, sir. That's I think a
Okay,
good
but
use
then
case for it.
that's the same use case is like a concert, and a lot of people would say, "Hey, I want to check out this concert." But for the record, Tomorrowland, you could not, like, you had to, if even all the instructions were about how this virtual event was taking place on your 2D PC. So the whole thing was geared toward 2D PC. And by the way, I wasn't able to see it yesterday because I bought the ticket, but there was no information about how to actually access it in big screen. So I'm going to have to get the recording. But I put the headset on. I wasn't able to access it, whatever. So I got super salty about that. But the idea is that, like, all their marketing and even their little YouTube video was about how you could travel to the different spaces, but only online, like only with the PC, and you could go hang in the DJ space or check out the culinary space. So I think they really need to figure that out. When it comes to conferences and events, I think that we're going to see more conference platforms take over this space where events can happen. So in the same way that like a convention can be turned into a concert hall, like a convention space can have all sorts of things. Like, I really think that maybe they have more potential for taking off than some of these, quote unquote event spaces. Or to your point, maybe some of these VR chats are going to open them up and become more developed and have more entertainment. I don't know.
But, so you were mentioning this Jean-Michel Jarre
Jean-Michel
performance.
Jarre.
Which was a huge hit. Like in Europe, they go nuts for this guy. Apparently, he's old. He's a very old school French musician, but he's quite respected. And it was a great event.
Very
and
well
they really,
regarded.
really liked it. But of course, it's like Lost Horizon, which we'll talk about in a bit. It's a music concert that 95% of the audience is on YouTube, 4% is on PC, and 1% is in VR. And they're happy with that. Like they're cool with that. And
But it's on VR, but it's in 2D. So this is the thing. So as far as I'm concerned, we want the Siskel and Ebert. I'm just going to tell you right now, I haven't seen Tomorrowland, but if it's me just watching this thing in 2D, thumbs down. Like no. I mean, I want to be surrounded by this like trippy thing. Anyway, let's go forward.
Well, I just want to draw attention that we're in all of these events we're talking about. And VR chat, let's talk about like VR chat, and we talk about Rec Room. A lot of the users are on PC desktop. Altspace. How many of you are on PC desktop? No, not to shame anybody, but how many people are joining us today? Not on a headset.
You had a cool avatar for somebody in a desktop.
We got a hand raised in the. Let's take this gentleman here in the back raising his hand politely. Go ahead, sir.
I just had a question about a lot of these events. Do you find the ones that you can access them through your PC are more popular? Because sometimes you don't want to deal with playing around with your headset, but you want to go into the event and just do it through your PC. I find it.
That's exactly what that's the case. One, more people have access to it through their PC than through a headset. So I mean, if you're an organizer, you can't really get a greenlit event if it's exclusively through VR. And we do that a lot. We talk to a lot of people who are organizing these events and conferences. And I mean, Laval Virtual, for example, that's a VR conference. And it's using a platform that doesn't really support VR because they just can't justify supporting 100 people because they're historically bringing 20,000 in real life. So they've got to at least get to 5,000 virtually. And that's, they're a VR conference.
But to be fair, Tribeca had the opposite results. So they had their VR event. It usually brings like 6,000 people like through the door over a week, and it's impossible to see all the VR. I mean, I've gone for years, and it's like, what's the deal? Like I spent like a week past. Luckily now I get press, but it's like I'll spend 4 hours there, and I get to see two works out of 40, and it's like, are you kidding me? So it's really super frustrating. But then they had it online, and suddenly they had like 10 times more people actually check out the work. So it was really pretty impressive. And don't trust my numbers. I have a show where I interviewed Lauren Hammonds. You can see it on LinkedIn, where he actually tells you all about the experience. But it was impressive to see how much more successful that was. Can we change slides? I want to refer to some of these other things. But so I think that there is a space, but the 2D thing for me just totally doesn't work. But VR chat, well, we're going to talk about it. We missed the VR chat slide. I want to tell you how I ended up in a clan room. I actually ended up, thank God for avatars. Thank God that my avatar was like, I had this super cool like black hoodie and blue pants, and my face was like a skeleton. So, but the thing is, I walked in and I see these guys, and talk about guys from the internet. I didn't realize that they were from the internet. I see a whole bunch of people in gray with white T-shirts. As I get closer, I realize that they all have like clan hoods on their T-shirts, and I was like, okay, maybe this is ironic. And then I get closer to the conversation. I was like, let me hear what's happening. I get closer to the conversation, and they're all talking like this, and I was like, this is super ironic. Like, this can't be real. And then they're all talking like this, and like super hyped up and really angry like, and they're, hey there. And he refers to somebody as the Grand Wizard. At that point, I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to think of the expletive, but I was like, what? And I kept thinking, what do I look like? Because in that moment, every different platform has a different avatar. I'm like, what do I look like? I'm like, do they know I'm the black chick in their room? And so then I'm like, no, I've got a hoodie. But I always have my name, like CD Henry XR, so that whatever platform, like, y'all know it's me, you can say hi. But then I don't know what, I think I even had my full name. I'm like, they can find me, and they know that I'm not a guy. Then I go out to it was just on the rain deck. It wasn't even like a private room. So then this enormous, like, scary, like, devil figure comes in. He was like on hooves, and I was like, I'm so scared at this point. I don't even know why, but it was so realistic. Then I go onto the balcony, and I see that that they're showing a slide like this, but okay, there goes my hand. They're showing a slide of a black guy, and I think, and maybe he was dead or something. It was pretty horrible. And then somebody's like, I ain't never something to them, but I killed one once. At that point, I'm like desperately trying to get out of the room, and I'm just like scared hell. So it's interesting to see the kind of people who turned up at VR chat. I have to say that was a super scary moment, though.
And that's why we're in Altspace. This is the Altspace difference. Everybody here is super, super tolerant and friendly and respectful.
Actually, I came back into Altspace, and there was a Black Lives Matter chat happening, and it was like very respectful, and there were very different opinions. But I was like, okay, the world is going to be okay. Anyway, that was my moment. But
to be fair, there was at least one Trump rally here.
Okay, well,
hey,
everyone's open to their thoughts, but
I mean, no, I'm not drawing any parallels, but yeah.
Just coincidental association. We had a hand raised in the back, just behind you. Lance, you don't raise your hand, sir. That's disrespectful for the audience participation, sir. In the back, behind Lance, you had your hand raised. If you want to say something.
Can you all hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, brilliant. One is a technical question, and then the other is a comment on the conversation about Tomorrowland. Technical question being, I can't actually see the slides that you all are referencing. Relatively new to Altspace, so is there something on my end that I can do to? Oh.
No, it's just super glitchy. Like, we've noticed that whenever you leave the room and come back, you can't see it. So it depends on the time. So next time, please be punctual. No kidding. It depends on the time you enter the room.
I kind of just popped in here, but I can see it now.
No, it's all good. Thank you for mentioning it.
Yeah, and then the Tomorrowland question was, if it's all 2D and it's kind of detract from the experience of being in VR, like how much of this do you consider to be barrier of entry to actually creating spaces like the one that we're in at the moment, and what sort of projects or ideas would you put forth to kind of like or point people towards if they were interested in building something kind of like the room that we're in, that is not necessarily the experience you would get if you were watching Tomorrowland in 2D.
I'm just going to say that this is totally a Michael question because he's visited literally every spatial in the spatial sphere,
No,
and
that's
also because he
excessive.
really doesn't like the environment here, and he thinks it's like
No,
when
no,
this drops
I
through, he's
mean,
like, why aren't there colluders?
colliders, colluders. Yeah, I mean, um, so that's an interesting question that you asked. First, about whether or not using 2D screens are kind of a hindrance or something that's detracting from developing better experiences. I think it is. I really do think it is. And I'm actually coming from a background where recently we've been trying to do like kind of more businessy events. We'll do like investor events and stuff like this. And so we would have these startups and they would come on stage. We do this in Engage. And they come up on stage and they present a PowerPoint slide, a PowerPoint deck or something like this, right? And the audience is sitting there and it's really boring. I mean, it's just incredibly boring. And one of the feedbacks from a number of some of these more ambitious investors and consultants is that, hey, you're in a 3D space, do something with 3D. And we say, all right. I mean, cool, but what does that mean? What is it you want us to do with 3D? And they're like, just have some props, juggle them, do something. Like sometimes it's really really superficial. Like I mean, it's just do something, but do it in 3D because we're in 3D. If I want to see a 2D thing, you can send me the deck. I can watch it offline. We could do it in Zoom. Like we have no reason to do this in here. And so, but what platform lets you do that? For example, Engage isn't that platform. It might be. Altspace requires you to do it. I think they're bringing in, and there are people in here who know it better than me because I'm not a huge fan of Altspace. I'm thankful that they're letting us be here. They're giving you, they're bringing in some better world building functionalities, but I think you still have to do a lot of stuff in Unity. VR chat's the same. You got to do a lot of stuff outside. Go ahead, Lance. You're going to correct me very quickly.
No, not correct you. I was going to offer an idea. So, why don't we have in these types of events like stooges in the audience that are there just to like feign enthusiasm? Because they're not taking advantage.
Oh, wait. All right. So on this point, Lance, let me talk about, it's not up here. Can we go ahead and, Catherine, you cool if we skip ahead real quick to Lost Horizon? Because I got to talk about
Let's
Lost
go to
Horizon.
whatever. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. So Lost Horizon, which is this one. All right. Did anybody attend Lost Horizon?
Yep.
Yeah. What? Yeah. So Lost Horizon was in Sansar, and it was made by. So we know the guy, one of the main organizer, or one of the main organizers, and they do this monthly series of concerts in Sansar, and they did like the VR Glastonbury and stuff. And this was apparently a dedicated space within Glastonbury that's like, as they say, it's anti-establishment within Glastonbury. So it's supposed to be even more so. And so they did this thing, and they had these different people. They had Fatboy Slim was the only name I recognized because I'm old and I'm not into EDM. But it was like super well attended, right? You go in there and man, there's just people dancing everywhere. And as a VR user, you say, all right, well, that's not VR. Like I can tell immediately they're not in VR. But I'm thinking, all right, are they on desktop? And if they're on desktop, are they just like pressing repeatedly the dance button? Oh, no, the turtle, I'll tell that turtle story in a second, but are they just hitting the dance button repeatedly? Because there are people who are just nonstop for 10 minutes, just constantly doing it. And I'm like, or are they just planted in there? They're just non-player characters meant to make the concert look like it's really exciting and full. And that's what they were. Most of the people in those events were, to Lance's point, they were fillers meant to just make you, well, I'm so excited because, man, everybody's just going nuts. They're just loving this place. So it's
That's
like,
a great
it's like
idea.
the VR. It's the VR
I want some
equivalent
bots
of
to like all like the show so that it seems like it's sold out. It's at capacity every time, and then suddenly everyone thinks that this is the hottest show in the Spatialverse. Can we do that?
It's the
Anybody know how to
VR
hack the
equivalent of a
system?
laugh track.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm Ed McMahon. Hi.
yeah. So anyway, I got off track. So, sir, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, totally fine. I kind of wanted to comment on what you were saying about the pitch decks. I think it's really, like, even in this room when I first joined, being relatively new to at least this new updated Altspace experience, I feel uncomfortable kind of like walking up I haven't quite figured out how to bring people's individual sound levels up, so I'm just moving in the room closer to people as they're talking so I can hear what they're saying.
Oh
And
no.
it's kind of like, how do you make, because you were saying the pitch decks, right? It's like, what are they looking for? What do they want? 'Cause if in an actual in-person setting, walking around kind of like I'm doing right now would be extremely distracting if somebody's doing a pitch. So it's it kind of forces us to think of new ways to make stuff, pitch decks and just things in general a little bit more engaging.
I have
And
an
they want
idea.
that.
Like I can totally imagine that, you know, instead of looking at a video of something that happens in 3D, like have it like create that experience here. So just like you know, my firm is Palpably. We do consulting for enterprise, for XR for enterprise. So I get it. Like imagine if you've got some sort of XR interface, AR interface, and you want to hold it up to I don't know, an engine, right? And you want to see what's happening with an engine. And then you can do it there. Like have that fake sort of lap, the engine and the iPad, and have everything pop up as if you were standing there. But imagine, like, that's a lot of work. I mean, that's really a lot of work to create something like that. And I just don't know what people's budgets are, but that seems like a whole different thing, especially if you've got a pretty limited audience who's got access to the technologies, you know, the VR and everything else. So you're going to limit your audience preparing for something like that, whereas standard decks are universal. So I don't know.
I mean, I guess the best platforms for this would be Neos. Because Neos
back to
allows you
Neos.
to. Well, no, I mean,
So,
because
I have a
it is. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it, but that's also the big problem. Like, if you're going to do a presentation for people, they've got to have whatever technology that's required. And the majority of the time, it's not a VR headset. You're starting to see, particularly early during the pandemic, you started to hear a lot of people say, hey, you know, for this business, for this meeting, I can get a Quest because it's cheaper than the flight I would have taken. So let me go get a Quest. Like, I'll just go get a Quest.
Yeah,
it's like
it's the price of a phone, and now it's even $3.99 on Amazon yesterday. So it's even cheaper. Darn it! I know.
I mean,
that's because the new one's coming out, and it's already been leaked, and it's white. It's iPhone white. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
That's
that.
all I know.
I don't know. We'll talk about maybe that another time. I'm not a huge fan, but I mean, but that being said, not everybody has the Quest. So even though this is the time where people are getting it, not everybody's getting it. And when you want to do, like I said, one of our friends from our community is in a big top consulting firm, and he's telling these startups sometimes, hey, just pick up an object, pick up that lamp, pick up that mic, show it to me, tell me a story with this object, or bring in a model of your product. But now if I've got a software tool, I can't have a model of my software tool. And when we were having some of these roundtables with some of these investors, you'd hear people say, all right, if you're pitching a VR startup, show it to me in VR, inside Altspace, inside Engage. And I kept telling them, I said, do you understand, like, you're in a platform and you want to do a live demonstration of a completely different app that you've made. You don't have that as a choice. The platform will decide whether you can do that. And if you really make it work, then why would you build it in another platform? You're building your competition in some cases. But they're like, no, that's what we want. It's just
we're getting super techy and super off subject, because the thing is, we wanted to make sure that this is a space where we're talking primarily about content, and we also wanted to show this content. We wanted to be like Siskel and Bieber, like here's a clip. But we've had a lot of problems with the video in the past. We hope to incorporate video so you can see some of the stuff that we've recorded well in this space. So as far as our little production value goes, we're definitely going to step up. But if anybody wants to help moderate with us in the future, I'd be more than happy. Let's talk about the next one. Speaking of crazy performances.
Lost Horizon, thumbs up. I liked it for what it was. It gets my thumbs up. So to make sure we check that box out.
I didn't see it, but if it's like, you know, like this other one where it's just 2D whatever, I'm like, meh. I don't know. I mean, I like the scenery because I love anything, you know, it looks like, you know, like Blade Runner, which is, who doesn't love Blade Runner, right? I mean, if you're here. So the whole dystopic kind of thing, or what was that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger like ages ago? Total Recall. Any other like sci-fi nerds out there? Okay, so I really like the concept and the design, which is supposedly based off the real place, which is amazing. But Yeah, I don't know. The whole 2D thing of a concert, like I'll dance in it for like 5 minutes and then split. Like I think I need to be immersed. That's just me.
Yeah, it's
So,
not 2D.
meh.
Okay.
All right, next one.
Yes.
And next time
Who
we're going
saw
to do a
the
lot more
Tempest?
stuff.
Who saw the
Who
Tempest?
saw the Tempest here? Anybody?
What?
Have you heard about it? Are you familiar with what Tempest is? First of all. Okay, so basically
man.
it's
Oh,
Awesome.
Tempest.
okay. So basically it's theater. And it's also kind of improv, I would say, and
Very
it's
much.
in VR. And you have to go into it, which is kind of cool because I love the concept. Again, improv is a huge space here. If you see here in this I bought it on Spatialand. No, it's Altspace. Here in Altspace, it's a really popular program. And this is like my version was with the dude. I call him the dude because he's very California with his ponytail, and the backdrop is with a Hollywood set. So I'm now in Los Angeles, so I totally related to that. I felt like, my personal take, and then Michael, I can't wait for you to tell them yours, was that, I was following all these people around in this space, but I wasn't sure why I was there. It was like the story was second. It was second to traveling through the universe. Like I was going to these different spaces, and they were all relatively well developed. But the one I really, really loved was the one underwater, which was magical because you could literally go under the water and above the water. And it was just a really special moment that you could only have in VR. But the rest of it felt like, okay, we're going to go to this different place. I'm going to give you 2 lines about the story. And I could barely follow the story. But then I want you to explore the space, pick up objects and I was like, why am I doing that? So I wasn't sure why, the story for me got totally lost in the background. And I understand he was kind of herding cats. And maybe Shakespeare is a bit heavy for, I don't know. But it just kind of didn't come together for me.
I mean, I agree with everything Catherine said, and I've been looking at like Kent Bay, I forget his last name, but he does voices of voices of VR, and he participated in a discussion of this, and a lot of people had the same thing, which is the platform, total success, absolute proof of concept. That's how you could do a VR theater, a live theater, really,
and I was
effective.
super excited about it.
Yeah, and I think it proved that point. It really worked. However, this actual performance,
it wasn't that easy. That was also part of the deal.
I think it needed 6 more months. I think that they had a lot of filler.
I'll tell you
it's
in a minute.
Participatory theater, which is one thing that's important for people to understand. But again, they don't tell you that so much. I mean, they don't emphasize that point. So out of 40 minutes, in terms of like narrating a story and acting it out, the actor, who I didn't have this actor, I had another actor, and she was amazing because she was on Molly. I mean, she was beyond. She was several levels over the top. And I found her online. I found her on YouTube, and because I was thinking, like, is this how she normally is? And
describe her voice. Describe her voice, because I saw the clip. It was so funny.
To be honest, and no offense, but she sounded quite New Yorker to me. It's hard to say. I mean, she did some performances for Ringling Brothers and for Sesame Street, and she was a great fit for Sesame Street. So it was weird to see her in this context, to hear her in this context.
She was really trippy. She's like, stand in the fire. All right, let's stand outside the fire. Wait, don't move. And it was like, what does any of this have to do with Tempest? I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah,
the thing is, they had such a great promo clip. I think they overdid it with the promo clip because it looked like the sophisticated Disney-esque, like high-level Pixar type of like polished adventure where you go through. And I was kind of expecting more Sleep No More, where I follow the person around like the set. So VR is amazing for branched narrative, right? So where you can follow any one of the actors into a different room, into a different space, and in the end, it all culminates in one space, and ta-da, mystery solved, or whatever. But that didn't happen here, and I understand it's complicated in VR, et cetera, but hey, I didn't know what to expect, but I wasn't expecting it to be quite so simplistic.
I mean, I would say...
So I think they oversold themselves.
Yeah, if we had to reduce it down to thumbs up, thumbs down, I'd give it thumb horizontal.
Great proof of concept. That would give it a meh.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it again. I suggest all of you to give it a try. I think it's still open for a couple more weeks. And
How do you get to
like
it?
I said, it makes me excited. I'm really
That's a
excited
really
to
good
see
question.
other
Okay.
performances.
Can I talk about how to get to it? Because this is one of the
Oh, yeah, go
dodgy
ahead.
things. If you're hosting an event in VR, don't make it complicated. Like this is the whole problem with the EDM concert at Tomorrowland. The same thing with the Tempest. It was a pain in the ass. They created this journey, which is kind of cool if that's what you want. But if you quickly want to buy a ticket because this thing is going to like sell out tomorrow, you have to go into the app, right? Which is annoying, frankly. But also, you should be able to buy it in several different places. But I had to go into the app, and there's a whole experience as you go into the app. So you get into this place, and you're like, "Where do I go?" And then, like, your hands turn into into I don't know, like these things.
You
You
get
then
some
have to
rings,
make
right?
yeah, I don't. So then you have to find your way into this like secret portal. Once you get there, you see a guy in a ticket booth, but you also see a bar, and you're like, "Where do I go?" I clicked on my clickers and it says like single player. I'm like, am I playing a game? I wanted to buy tickets. I go to the ticket booth. I go into the theater. It's dark. I couldn't find my way back to the ticket booth, or I didn't see the guy. I don't know. And I end up next door at the bar. And then this creature invites me in, and we do all this weird stuff. And I end up leaving going, I didn't get any tickets. It turned out that you have to go to the ticket booth, and then you have to press this thing. But unless you're standing right in front of the ticket booth, oh, there goes my hand again. Unless you're standing in front of the ticket booth, you can't see it. So it's like super weird. And then you get the ticket, and then the day of, you have to go and stand in this space, and you have to click on this special shield, and it tells you when the program starts. And then it's supposed to magically bring you into the theater room. I mean, into the amphitheater, the lobby. It didn't. And then I had the countdown, and you had this too, right, Michael? Where
It's
you're
a
like,
little ambiguous. Yeah, it did what it was supposed to do, but it wasn't
it's a
entirely
long
clear
journey.
that. Well, there's some ambiguity, there's some uncertainty, and that's true of all of these events. I will say Altspace is probably the easiest, the lowest friction platform. It's the easiest platform to jump into an event, whereas some of these other ones, you know, like I said, there's just a lot of uncertainty. Now, once I've done it once, or once you've done it once, you don't do it again. But if you get really frustrated, it's going to put you off paying money. In your case, you paid money. You reached out to them, and you had to get like, did you get a refund, or you just got comped another ticket?
I bought another ticket, and then they comped me one, so I gave it to a friend of mine who will use it another time. But I think, the thing is, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to start this, is because it's like all of this is a journey. All of this is an adventure. And it's like, in the old days, you knew where to get a ticket. Like you could go to London, you can get a theater ticket. You go to New York, you can check out the latest, I don't know, art installation. You go to Houston Austin, and you can go to some, you can go to the film festival. All these festivals are happening online. All these events are happening online. So this is part of what this is about, is to be able to bring you along with us. And, so we're going to set an agenda so that we can go together, and we can also troubleshoot together. We can share that space on the meetup thing for dialogue about how to get in or how to get access, so that we can start to explore what's happening out there. Because there are going to be so many more events, and it's going to be a super cool adventure. But I think this is just the beginning. So you have to be like, meh is actually not bad, because there's a huge effort to pulling off something like that, and I recognize that, so I don't want to give thumbs down.
Yeah, go check it out. If you haven't checked it out, and you got a little bit of money in your pocket that you don't want anymore, give it a try.
It's only like $15. I mean, whatever.
All right, now the big event for this coming week, is going to take place in Museum of Other Realities, which you got to pay for. It's one of those types of platforms. But because
if you're a Quest user, it's a pain. You have to do a special thing you have to connect, which I haven't done yet. So I'm a little worried I'm going to miss it. But I will. If you have any questions, you can just ping me on the thing if you're a Quest user, and I'll tell you how I solved it if I did. To get into MOR. But MOR
this is actually a Verizon event. So they're working with 3 designers and this is going to be, I think, like a multi-month experience. But on the 29th of this month, as I recall correctly, they're going to actually have a live event with the designers, and they're going to have a live fashion show. What that means and what that looks like, I don't know, because Museum of Other Realities it's a curious platform if you haven't been to it. It's an actual museum with a permanent collection of art, but they found out that, man, there's a lot of demand to have these art experiences and galleries create Unity scenes and upload their 6DoF and their 360 video experiences into their platform as like a separate wing. So that's what they've done with ConXR. That's what they did with RAM. And they're doing the same thing with this event. And yeah. So I mean,
for NES Zone, like all these like really well-known artists. It's absolutely super cool to be in there. And we had a slide earlier. We kind of skipped over it. Sorry, but it's a very cool space. Just frustrating if you do have a Quest, hard to get in there. You do have to have a headset that's tethered to your PC, which means you have to order on Amazon or similar a cable to get into it. So. And it's $20 entry because they wanted to keep the trolls out. So the founders decided they were going to charge to even get on the platform. You do have to spend $20. But I think that because they have, like, this is the place where I can imagine this is like the celeb crowd or the inset. I really do see them as being the future hotspot for a lot of the, cutting edge cultural events, honestly. It's a really dope space.
I mean, I like it. Yeah, it's not a bad place. I give it a thumbs up. But I will tell you this. Their avatars are not like anybody else's avatars. It's all completely abstracted polygonal forms. You cannot talk to you can't talk to anybody until you're friends with them.
That's the weird part.
You got a friend with people. You got to join up. They have a concept of shard, which is like some type of instance that you share with other people. And then you can talk to people, and the menu, the place that you go to add people, is not on your body. It's not on your hands. There's a map at the very beginning, and you got to come back to that map whenever you want to add people or go find people or connect with people. So the UI is a bit different.
Annoying.
Well, I mean, it takes some getting used to. I mean, it's curious. If nothing else, it's a very curious UX. But yeah, go ahead, sir. Hand raised up there.
No, I think a lot of these things you're talking about are very helpful, but I think it's really important to give it context to how you access these, because not everyone can access these. So I think it would be very helpful that you bring up that you need, I think you mentioned it earlier, but you need the connection to the PC. And then once you're into the PC, where do you find Fabric Reality? That's what I'm not clear about. Are you going into another application? I think every time you bring up these things, it's very important to give it that context. Otherwise, we're kind of lost on how do we get to these. It sounds very exciting.
Sorry, I think that's a good point.
Well, yeah, I'll say it again here, because maybe it's not visible here. So this event is going to be in the Museum of Other Realities, which is another one of our platforms. It's on Steam, and you have to buy it from Steam. So when you go into it, now, but that's a good question, because the same thing happened. It has its own museum with its own permanent collection. So when you have these other events, you have to have this DLC. So you got to download this other content. I don't know how they're doing it with Fabric of Reality, because they're trying different methods. Because for ConXR, it was like 4 DLCs, which in total were 60 gigs. A DLC is extra content. Sorry, it's just extra content that you download for usually a game, like just extra visuals or something like this.
That's the thing. Like, I'm super worried. I paid for it. I bought it on Steam, and I am now a little concerned because I realize that my Quest doesn't link up. And I'm really excited because they have really good content, but how accessible is it, right? So this is the kind of stuff, and they're trying to make it more compatible with Quest, but it's a journey. Because we talked to the guy who heads it last week, and they're working on all sorts of stuff, but you also have to realize that these are startups with like 5 or 6 people. And even though they're attracting these major events, they still tend to be pretty small. So we have to be patient, but on the other hand, if I spend $20 for this thing on Steam and then can't get in, or there's this really complicated UI to even buy a ticket, and that's, again, why we're here. We want to have the conversation ongoing in our in the meetup space. So if you have any questions or problems, or you just contact us directly, and for us to kind of meet up in these places, so at least we know a few people when we get there, and we're not just staying on our own. So that's kind of the idea, to create this community where we can all kind of explore some of these spaces and these events together.
Yeah, we had one question right up here in the front with the guy with the shirt that you like so much, Catherine.
It was just more museum. It's some Quest as well now.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you super well. Can you say that a little louder?
The museum about the realities, it's on Quest as well.
It's not. It's not. It's PC tethered. If you're linked, if your Quest is linked, yes. But standalone Quest, it is. As of last week, it's not supporting yet. It's good because it's just so heavy. But if you link your Quest, then it becomes a Rift, and it can do all of this stuff.
I think I've got it on the Quest now. I've just checked. Came out about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Robin didn't mention it, but it's worth trying it.
Okay.
Catherine, we have yeah, we can go to the next slide. I think we have a little. I can't hear your audio quite so well, Catherine.
Because I tell you, there's something about a dodge on my controller here, and anyway.
I hear you better. How's everybody else in the audience? Are you hearing Catherine? Or me?
Not very well.
Yeah.
You are fine.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
I don't think it's the microphone. I do think it's just a connectivity. Because you're on the Quest, right?
No, it's not a half upgrade. Somebody on the show.
So, yeah.
HTC. Our thing is, I wanted to mention it's one more event we're going to do this art event.
Catherine. We can't hear much at all. Of what you're saying. So I think what you, Catherine is saying, hey, HTC, Oculus, throw a little love our way if you want, or like throw it to her. I mean, they're not going to. I'm in Turkey. They're not going to give me anything. But Catherine's right down the street, so throw a little love Catherine's way with a link cable, if nothing else. And and so you can follow us a bit here. We're going to be doing this show every week. So we'll be going to, on Wednesday, we're going to we're hosting an event through this community that we're part of. You're all welcome to join. It's going to be 7 o'clock Central European time, which is what? 10 a.m. 10 a.m. California time. We'll be in VR chat. So you can, I guess, is it XR Creatives, the meetup, Catherine, that they can join and they can, okay. So you can check out the information for how to find us, because as the gentleman was talking about before, in VR chat, you've got to be socially connected in order to join a particular session. Otherwise, you just randomly join a session, even if it's the same place. And then we're going to be going to Fabric of Reality and Museum of Other Realities on the 29th. Again, I think it is. It's going to be, that's actually 3 days, and then it's multi-month. You can have access to the fashion content, whatever it is that they've made. So if anybody wants to join, we're looking forward to seeing you there. You won't recognize us because, again, we will have polygonal bodies. I'll be orange, so maybe just look for an orange guy if you happen to join. Otherwise, yeah, we'll be back next week to talk about what we saw and what we're excited for the following week. So thanks, everybody, really very much for joining us on our first show. Yeah, much love. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day, wherever you are.
Have a great weekend. Look forward to hearing from you.